All right, Greg, we're on. We are live on Thursday, I believe it is, 7 p.m. If you are tuning in tonight, it's a little bit different to what we usually do. As you can probably tell, I'm not dressed or exercise. I'm just sort of using this as an excuse to get out of it. But now we're doing a Q&A tonight. So any questions that anyone might have, you can ping across and we can try and answer it. It could be a complete disaster, Greg, because I've never really done this before. I don't think you have.
Not
and I don't think we're that
Q&A.
popular that we got loads of. Well, it might be right, but yeah, so it might just be me and you having a chat about fitness, exercise, all that kind of stuff. So you can just listen in. So there might not be any questions, there might not be anything, but we'll see. But yeah, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll give it a few minutes, just wait to see if anyone tunes in. I thought you were getting a glass of wine tonight, Greg. That's what you told me the other week.
It's not quite happened. I'm not sure if it's. Is it appropriate for this kind of chat? I know we said last night.
It's what we're going to go into.
It's part of the balanced diet, isn't it? So I could have done, but no. The short answer being, I've not got around to it. Yeah, I don't have any red wine in, so.
Well, that's disappointing because that means I can't have a beer. Otherwise, it just looks like I'm the guy who's having a beer.
Communicated this earlier, but we didn't.
No. Yeah, so if you are... No, there's about 3 watching. They'll be tuning in thinking, well, where's my exercise? Well, yeah. I'm having a breast. I'm having a break, so we're doing a Q&A. I'm afraid.
Why is Greg not wearing a hat?
Yeah, why is Greg not wearing a hat? Yeah, that could be a question.
Well, I like to think I made some effort this evening.
All right.
You decided not to do the same.
Mate, this is how I come. It saves a lot of time. I did have a little bit of a shave, but that's my usual.
You've got a different top on, to be fair. I'm just wearing the same clothes all the time at the moment. I need to get some new shorts, the same shorts, and just different t-shirts. That's how relaxed.
Mate, you'd save yourself a lot of time if you didn't have to worry about doing your hair, your makeup, and your clothes. Just imagine how much time I saved.
George says my arms are massive. Thank you, George.
Well, that's very kind of George.
I owe everything that I've got to this man.
Thanks.
Charlie,
thanks for the How are you, George? You well? I haven't seen you in ages. If you're still there, ask us a question about fitness and health, and we'll try and answer. If not, I'm gonna just crack into my my little list of questions here, topics to cover. But yeah, and we'll try and keep it sort of health and fitness based. If anyone is on here for Greg, you can you can do that privately. I know what you like. Greg's fan page. Right, mate. Well, yeah, we'll start off with some. Well, yeah. There we go. What's the best way to build up my pecs? With a K.
Is this a question you're asking me for yourself, Leo?
Well, what kit do you have, George?
Oh, sorry. Right.
So I mean, we can start with like chest exercises, basically. So
George actually asked that question.
I think it's a legitimate question: how to build chest muscles whilst at home. So let's assume that George doesn't have any kit. So the best exercises for that. So yeah, building up chest, building up any kind of muscle, you're going to need some sort of resistance, really. Obviously, your body weight, you can do a lot of stuff with in different kinds of ways. But in terms of actually building muscle, it's going to get difficult to do that. But it depends where you're starting from. I mean, obviously, you've got your press-ups. You've got different variations of press-ups. He does have dumbbells, Greg. So that is something that you can use as well. So
it depends, like you said, where you're starting from, because ultimately, if you're at a point where there isn't much to increase resistance and you've almost plateaued, something needs to change to improve or to build. So that would be adding more resistance. If you don't have that, that's a slight problem. But you can play around with a lot of variables, even the tempo. Obviously, like Charlie said, press ups. If you're doing a normal press up, you can change it to do a decline, which promotes a bit more tension on the chest or emphasizes a bit more. I mean, I would even argue at this stage, considering we are 3 weeks in, we're halfway to another definite 3 weeks and maybe more. As we said before, and Charlie's advocated many times, resistance bands are the best and easiest way, most cost effective to add some resistance in a home environment, because you can anchor them to doors for flies or for presses.
Oh, without a doubt. You can do with a client the other day. Sorry, just to jump in. Client the other day using a bar, well, a broom. Obviously, it has to be something sturdy, but you can almost use it as a barbell. So attach your bands to it. Even if you've got a light barbell, you can do a lot of resistance with that. But yeah, so to answer, I mean, as well, George, I'd go with volume. So even if you don't have a lot of resistance, just add on sets, add on volume to it. So if you're doing, if we're just doing press ups or elevated press ups, all your different variations, whatever it may be, just do more sets, do more reps, and build it up that way. So yeah.
Or George, you could get your wife to sit on your back whilst you're doing press ups.
Yeah, maybe not. I'm not sure that's going to be good for your back overall.
Upper back's fine, but also make sure you're working through a full range as well with press ups. A lot of people do press ups and work through a partial range, so I would say you can try to get your chest to touch the floor pretty much, just in case you're not, because stretching, contracting the muscle in its entirety will make a difference.
Hi, Jack.
Who's here, Charlie?
Yeah, she says, can't stay on, but want to say thanks for streaming the classes. Can you always remember to give an easier alternative to some of the movements as they're quite advanced? I can't agree more with you there, Janet. Sometimes Greg does take the mick a little bit.
I was going to say certain exercises. That, Janet, is no, they are what they are.
He can. He just tries to put me in pain. So yeah, he can. We will do. Definitely. And I will be more than happy to demonstrate them for you. Right. Well, Greg, yeah, no one's answering that much at the moment or asking that much, but we've both been, oh, you're welcome, George. We've both been training a lot of clients, hundreds of clients, maybe even to more, thousands over the years. And the same thing gets asked time and time again. When you sit down in a consultation and you speak to a client and they say, yeah, I've come here because, what do they always say to you, Greg? We might have different clientele, but for me, it's usually I want to lose weight, I want to tone up, and essentially I want to feel better. Would you agree with that? I mean, you've got a slightly different client base to me, I would imagine. A little bit more aesthetics, but my clients generally want to lose weight and feel better. So that's where I thought we'd start with our conversation.
Yeah, of course. I think even when a lot of people want to get ripped and stuff like that, it obviously involves fat loss anyway, as much as anything else. So it's all, linked in some way. So the same sort of key things exist, such as the nutrition, activity. It might then be alongside other things if people are putting on muscle with more of a resistance focused program. But yeah, similar sort of things are a general kind of given for the majority.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go through it then. I'm Dorothy. I've just come to see you, Greg. I've sat down and said, look, Greg, I've got about 2 stone to lose. I'm feeling a bit rubbish. Where do we start? So that's our scenario. So let's go through it. What do we need to focus on? Number one thing.
You asking me, sorry?
Yeah, I'm Dorothy. I'm a new client of yours.
Well, if Dorothy's and is your Dorothy. Dorothy, is your main focus weight loss, essentially?
It is. I've got 2 stone to lose.
Okay. I mean, obviously, weight loss, it's basically fat loss that people are looking to lose, because weight loss can be anything, even water retention. But I know Charlie will agree that the number one thing, anyone can train, well, not anyone, but technically anyone can train every day or start to increase your activity. But people's downfall is always the nutrition. So I would literally say the number one, the most important thing to get them talking about or getting them to understand would be their nutrition. Do they know what sort of calories they have on a daily basis? If they don't, something they need to think about with the food diary, so we can look at the food and also an actual tracking app. Because even if someone comes to ourselves and Dorothy starts doing a program with Charlie 3 times a week, sorry, that is Dorothy, but without that focus on nutrition, unfortunately, it is almost impossible to see that result or to understand things when they're not quite going to plan.
Oops.
Sorry, frozen then.
I know, yeah, I lost you a bit, but yeah, are you still there? Good. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, nutrition is my experience the biggest factor that stops people getting the, especially obviously the weight loss, the fat loss goals. And the key is consistency. So you have, let's say, if we're looking at knowing energy balance, so Dorothy requires, let's say, 1,800 calories a day to lose, let's say, a pound of fat a week. So we can do the maths on that. I mean, your general formula is find someone's maintenance, 500 less than that per day equates to 3,500 calories a week, which equates to about a pound of fat. That's sort of your box standard way of looking at it. There's a lot of different factors that go on. So what happens is you know, if let's say Dorothy does that, she does that for a couple of weeks, she's flying, but she goes on a bender on there and then it falls off the cliff, then what happens is she'll end up undoing all the work and the consistency isn't there. So I think that's probably the biggest thing with a lot of clients is that once you explain it to them, they're not getting that consistency with it. Would you agree with that? Well, we do have a legitimate question here, Greg, which we can cover under the nutrition side of things. It's from Francesca, and she says, "How important is protein to your diet / toning up?"
Extremely. Protein. Okay. Well, before we start to that answer, extremely, as protein is so important in terms of your training for recovery, for growth, whether that be wanting to tone up, a better shaped bum and legs, or bigger arms and shoulders. You need protein to be able to actually stimulate the right growth and recovery from the work you're putting in with your training, but also from a diet perspective and your nutrition. Protein is a lot more thermogenic. So when you eat protein, or when you eat more protein, your body actually uses more calories to break it down. So it's also a friend of yours in the nutrition side of things. So, I mean, obviously that's an overview or a quick explanation of both without getting into a lot more detail, but yes, it is very, very important. And in terms of an amount for most people, I would work off the basis of the amount of pounds you weigh. I would times that by 0.8. So if you weighed 100 pounds, times that by 0.8 is 80. That is your daily protein requirement. That's a general population thing. There's lots of equations.
I mean, yeah. I would. I mean, it depends. It depends on the person. I think protein is usually, in my experience, the main macronutrient that clients don't get enough of. So if you analyze the diet, have a look, because our modern day diets are full of bready sandwiches, all that kind of cakes, that kind of stuff, high fats, high carbs. Usually people don't eat enough protein because it's harder to get in. So what I tend to do is analyze a client's current diet and just try and increase that. I mean, I tend to go off percentages because it's easier. So if I get a client eating around about 30% of the diet from protein, I'm fairly happy with that. But obviously it depends on who it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's more of a guideline from not just a performance perspective, because performance would be increasing that from 0.8 to say 1 to 1.2 even. But I think a lot of studies, and it's not one that I can just pull from the top of my head, would say, lower than that, I don't know how that then breaks down to percentages you normally use, but that's just how I would explain to my clients, because I would try and give them a target of their calories, but also the macronutrient. But the macronutrient breakdown, protein is the only one I would say try and actually focus on as a target, because carbohydrates and fats, people's body respond differently to them. It's not the end of the world if they're up and down within a calorie target. But protein, I think for a lot of people, like you say, Charlie, they don't have a clue how much protein's in things. So by me trying to, for instance, give them a target of grams or percentage, it doesn't really make a difference. They're looking at it for a tracking app. They might realise they're at 20% of the diet to begin with, and you give them a target of what I don't do percentages, so I don't know. But for me, a lot of clients, if their target is 150 grams of protein, they might be on something like 80 normally. So they then suddenly think, oh my God, I'm literally just around half of what I need to be. So they're looking at the back of something and go, oh wow, that's got 20 grams of protein in it, because all nutrition is in grams, isn't it, on the back? So then in the head, they're thinking, well, if I eat that, that's 20. My goal's 150. That's just how I see it as being.
Yeah, it depends which way you're doing it. If you're tracking it, it gets. It depends how you're looking, which point of view you're looking at doing it from. But yeah, I mean, you can get into a whole load of things like psychology. That if you've got someone who's losing weight, you could argue that their issue isn't necessarily it's going to be mainly a calorie point of view. Obviously, it depends on the client. You've got to build it up steadily. If you throw everything at them at once, they're going to have an issue. But yeah, protein's very, very important, like Greg says, and like I've said. And she's also added, is that something I can supplement? Is it something I could add to my diet, or is it a supplement better? I mean, I would always try and get food from or protein from whole foods. It could be your meat sources, eggs, for your nutrition rather than supplements. But when it gets hard, yeah, of course you can supplement. There's hundreds of different protein brand shakes out there. It's just knowing what's in it, really, which is the main thing, because you can get a lot of additional stuff in there as well. And you can waste a lot of money as well.
Yeah, I think if just to finish it off, the easy way, and Charlie uses them as well, MyProtein, they're the market leader. They have different ranges, but generally speaking, they're trustworthy, good quality, cost effective. You don't need to be looking at brands that are more expensive, but also then you're not in a world of unknown or a landfill of random crap that you can get. So I would say that's your safest bet. MyProtein.com, and just you can go through stuff, and they even have a lean protein option, a gainer, which obviously some people wanted to pull on size. So it's quite straightforward and something you could easily pick up a suitable supplement from.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what I would try and focus on doing is trying to get some form of protein in per meal that you're having. So if you're having breakfast, lunch and dinner, try and make sure you're having some sort of protein in the morning, some sort of protein at lunch, some at dinner. Because if you've got, like Greg says, you've got 120 grams of protein to hit and you're having nothing, and you think, oh crap, I've got my dinner, I need to cram in 120 grams of protein there. And just for example, a tin of tuna is about 20 grams of protein. So you can imagine if you're trying to have 6 tins of tuna, a tin of tuna is about 22 grams of protein.
I'm going to get my tuna out of the fridge.
Do it, mate. I can guarantee you. Here we go. I'm going to look silly now if it's not.
So this is John West, fridge pot.
Yeah. Go on then. 22 grams.
So it's also 110 gram.
Oh, hang on. Don't make me go get my tuna out of my cupboard.
So then that means by 100 grams. Oops, sorry. Per 100 grams. Can you see that?
No, not really. It's a bit blurry. Come on. I want to know if I'm right.
Anyway, it's 29 per 100. That means it's less than what the actual tub is. So it'd be about 31, 32.
Oh, well, I'm not far off from that.
What, 10 grams, Charlie?
All right, come on, right.
10 grams to you.
Keep talking.
But it's probably because this is quality, Charlie. What you've got in your fridge is probably off the back of a wagon or something. Anyway, I knew it was more than that. Anyone else out there, guys? Say hello, please. Any questions? Welcome. Within reason. It's just Greg live at the moment, guys. Charlie's decided to try and prove me wrong with something.
Mine's 27 per 100, so yeah. All right.
And what's
5 grams out.
Charlie? What's the size?
27 grams in that tin. Well, I said 22.
Is a tin 100 grams as well?
A drained weight, 102 grams.
Okay. All right.
Right, anyway, enough of that. 5 grams out. Sorry, Greg.
Well, you were not from my tin, you weren't.
All right, well, okay, you need 120 grams, let's say, dinner. You still need, what, 5, 6 tins? So yeah. So what the point I was making is try and get protein in regularly throughout the day, because it's yeah, that's what you need to be doing really.
Yeah.
But yeah, any other questions going on? If not, I'll just crack on with nutrition stuff.
What have we got on the many people watching, Charlie?
22. So please ask something if you want to know anything, fitness wise. Hopefully,
ask away, guys.
That's calories.
You won't bite.
Energy wise. One thing I suppose is calories you need per day. So I mean, how would we go working that out, Greg? I mean, that's probably one of the key things really. So Greg, for example, let's say he trains twice a day. He needs 3,500 calories per day, let's say. I mean, you can tell us how much you need if you want.
I can add more. My maintenance is somewhere in the region of 4,000.
Okay, so you can require 4,000 calories a day. So let's say there's Gary, who he works from a computer, doesn't do much exercise. He's 5'6". You know, he's going to require a lot less than that. So Gary might only need 1,700 a day, 1,800 a day, just plucking out of the air, 2,000, whatever it may be, to maintain what he's got. So what you have to do is be really specific to your own nutrition plan. You've got to work out how much calories you need per day, and you do that by working out your BMR, which is basically how much basal metabolic rate, how much energy you need just to survive, to function without doing anything. And then obviously you've got all your activity, your movement, your NEAT, plus your exercise. NEAT is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, I think, something along those lines, which is like all your movement during the day. And then you got your exercise on top of that. So you need to know all that to work out your maintenance. Or you could just go on an app like MyFitnessPal, which it will estimate that for you. So that's key, I think, is to know your own particular energy balance. Because for example, my house, me and Rach will cook the same meal, and I'll have one portion, she'll have her portion, but they'll usually be the same. But we probably require different things. So what happens is usually gets one person overeating at particular times. Would you agree with that, Greg?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much that in simple form of understanding or trying to input your data correctly so you know as closely as possible to where you kind of should be, but you've also got to understand that any of us could put in things into an equation or an algorithm or whatever and have a generated target, but that's where personal training comes into play, whereby if I've got a client and I give them a set amount of calories and macronutrients, that doesn't mean to say it's 100% right. But obviously then monitoring and analysing things, how they happen week by week, allows us to make any necessary changes. Because for anyone watching and has potentially just got MyFitnessPal and putting all their data and all the things that Charlie just said, it might tell you X, but that doesn't mean X is right for you in terms of where you need to be. You've just got to look at things carefully, because you never want things like a drastic weight loss, for example. I mean, obviously you don't want to stay the same. Most people want to lose weight, but it shouldn't be drastic. But again, that's a little bit more complicated, because you'd have to have someone sort of look at that to say where you can maybe change things. But generally speaking, it shouldn't be a million miles off, but don't think it's 100% right, because there are obviously factors.
It can never be that.
Yeah, if you went out for a walk, a couple of times a week that you did mention, that might be another 750, 1,000 calories. And things can change all the time where you don't quite know how active you are in your job, and then that's another thing that burns more calories. So there's so many factors, but
there is. I mean, the main thing is not to overcomplicate it, I don't think.
No,
just keep it as straightforward, as simple as you can, whilst obviously getting in the right way. I mean, a lot of it's trial and error. So you could do a particular plan for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks and not get anywhere. So you need to be aware of it and adjust accordingly. But yeah. Just a quick one. Gillian Brown says, do you offer nutritional plans alongside PT? We do offer nutritional guidance, Gillian, to do it. Anyone who gives a specific nutrition plan with grams and all the rest of it shouldn't be doing that unless they're a trained dietitian But we do offer obviously guidance. We get you on the right path. We can work out calories, give you guidance on macronutrients, that side of things, alongside your training goals. Because obviously, what we do, nutrition is a huge part of achieving targets. So we can do that. Yes. Oh, we've got another question, Greg. We're flying now. That must be at least 4. She says, Gemma says, hello guys. Any better time in the day to work out, or is any good? I can cover that, Greg, if you want.
Well, it's up to you, but I would just say whenever fits. Is it Gemma? Sorry.
Yeah, Gemma. Yeah.
Whenever best fits your schedule for you to actually, I guess, adhere to it, Gemma. Because for most people, they have various commitments with work and family, which doesn't necessarily allow them, a number of windows throughout the day. So it's trying to look at what is the best window for you to do that. And also sometimes remembering if there is a couple of windows, what is the most likely time you would adhere to the training? Because a lot of people go, well, I could train at 6, but I'll probably just do it after work at 7. But then they have a day from hell and then they sack off their plan to do that. So sometimes thinking about those things and how will you best allow yourself to actually adhere to it? Because as Charlie said before about consistency, it's trying to look at the time that you'll most likely actually do it, because we all encounter difficulties and things that can, make us not want to train. So it's thinking what is the most suitable, sensible, realistic time and just go with it. Don't matter what time it is, anytime.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'd for me personally, I wouldn't do heavy lifting in the morning, because I know for my knackered old body that's not even that old, I'm more likely to injure myself because I won't have warmed up as effectively. My body won't be switched on. So I tend to, if I'm doing that sort of training, lifting weights, I will do that a little bit later in the day. I don't mind doing cardio as much in the morning, but you just have to be aware, I think, that from a physiological point of view, you probably need a little bit more time for your body to switch on. There was something I did at university called circadian rhythms, which was very boring, but it's an optimal times of day to train. But yeah,
I think at the same time, people will be different, and you're probably, for a lot of people, the weights of lifting wouldn't necessarily affect them more than I thought.
It depends what it is, yeah. I mean, like Greg says, it all comes down to consistency. What you can do, that the best exercise in the world is always going to be the one that you can do week in, week out. Is MyFitnessPal free? It is, Gemma. It is free. You can download it, free to use. You can pay for it as well. I think that just gives you a few extra features. But yeah, it is free to use. So it is a very good app. I definitely recommend trying it, because no one's ever going to know how much they're eating per day, really, unless they're going to track it. No. So it just gives you a really good idea of macronutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Micronutrients aren't very good on it, I find. So your vitamins, minerals. So I wouldn't put all your faith on tracking that, but the main things it does pretty well. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the studies to suggest that people underestimate their daily calorie intake by as much as 50%. So you'll be surprised when you track how wrong you are, and that's not, me trying to be.
Yeah, man. I mean, I do it myself, and it's ridiculous. Yeah, I'm like, I'm doing fine, and then bang, oh yeah, that's 5,000 calories you've just had today, Charlie.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's worth doing. Any more questions? If anyone's on, ask us anything. We will try and answer it.
Now, Charlie, with the viewers,
we got 7 watching, so there is 7 people on there.
Big numbers.
So yeah, might be disappointing that we're not moving, but that's okay. Yeah, I guess one other thing we can talk about, Greg, is diets. Everyone bangs on about the latest diet, that kind of stuff, and everyone's got their own opinions on it. So, I mean, there's pros and cons. When we talk about diets, it always used to be low fat diets. Then there was low carbs, low sugar, keto diets, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, from my experience, my point of view, the best diet you can do is one we've already discussed, is getting the right balance for you. So getting the right balance of calories, carbs, proteins, fats, covering everything within your diet and tailoring that towards your goals. Because 9 times out of 10, every single diet that you follow has the same thing in common. They all have low calories or lower calories in your maintenance, because that's essentially how people get results in terms of weight loss. A lot of them are just stupid and extreme. So the weight loss you get isn't necessarily from fat. It's water retention. It's even lean tissue, muscle mass. So yeah. So I've got a bit of a. No, I would say that sometimes a diet can get someone on track. So it can give someone a focus, but not necessarily in the right way. I mean, obviously, I'm generalizing there with the term diet, but yeah. What do you think, Greg?
No, I'd agree. It's like you said on that last point. It's all right people doing something like a juice diet because, of course, it's new. It's something different. It gives you structure and focus, which sometimes a lot of us will need in order to actually start the process of achieving something with, exercise, nutrition, training. But it's how sustainable is it? Because if you're sent through loads of powder in the post to have all these meals, at some point, how do you actually integrate that into an actual sensible, balanced diet? Not only is it deficient in a lot of things, but at some point, that doesn't actually give you the tools you need to continue on that path, because it's like an artificial road, isn't it? It doesn't exist for a longer period of time. It's also not sustainable in itself anyway for a lot of the diets. And it goes into the same point you made about the low calories. People can eat low calories. Anyone can eat low calories for a period of time, but eventually it becomes miserable, and you actually end up wanting to go the complete other direction, where you then put on more weight than you had at the start of this whole journey, and then your BMR has dropped even lower because you've actually done more damage to your metabolism, creating metabolic adaptation where your calories drop lower. And that's often seen with a lot of things in America, with stuff like The Biggest Loser or whatever they have. I think nearly all of them, 90%, end up putting on more weight than they started with, because sometimes the means of them achieving the goal has been so strict, extreme, and unrealistic for them to actually then get to a certain point and continue, because they don't know how to then move on with it in any way in their actual life past that extreme or that short term or that fad phase of whatever it might be.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah. I mean, I think they can be very appealing. But like Greg said, there's a silly. I can't remember what the statistic is, but there's a study out there that says exactly what, lots of studies that say that most people end up putting weight back on again because you haven't addressed the root cause. A lot of it's psychological as well. It's understanding why,
Yeah, unless it's a lifestyle choice, or unless it's, i.e., you're vegan, or there's something that prevents you from eating fat, or a specialist consideration or special consideration. People should just look for a balanced diet. Obviously, trying to reduce all the things that we know are wrong, and try and increase the things we know are better for us and right. Sometimes we need a bit of guidance, or people well within that, but that's a successful diet, something that is balanced.
If you if you are out there, we've got Sam watching. It's gone very slow, Greg. There's been a few questions, but we will just start waffling on and just talking about general health and fitness stuff. But if you are there, ask away. Could be anything fitness related.
Hello, guys.
But
been very sensible tonight. This has been a sensible live session.
It has been very, very sensible. Yeah, we've covered a few topics. Maybe maybe some in a bit too much detail. Maybe some not so much. But yeah,
it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, a lot of questions when you get asked, I'll overtalk many times. Well, especially if you're talking to someone, as there will be people, watching. They've asked a question. If we know something about it, so when we talk, we can continue talking over it and understand that there's extensions to certain things. But
mate, you can open
up words about something. It's like if you listen. They say apparently, I think there's again going back to studies where we just name the studies but have no actual ones to drop in as an actual one. But
no, where's where you read it? But
there's many that suggest or say that if you go to a tutorial or an e-learning, whatever it might be, you might only absorb 20-25% of the information on that first, watch or viewing of, say, 45-minute lecture, because your brain just switches off a lot. So you have to rewatch or take notes, and it's the same for answering a question. You're not going to take in all the information, but.
Well, we'll do short, sharp, snappy answers then. If anyone wants to, Martin Smith has put an Apple sign. So apples are good.
I don't actually eat apples, to be fair. Not for any reason. I just don't.
Everyone eats apples, surely.
I'm not lying, Charlie. I wouldn't lie about something so serious. Berries,
scraping the barrel there. Okay.
And berries, the bees knees.
Fair enough. So, right, I'll give you one. I'm quite a good example of someone who has a busy lifestyle, 2 kids under 5, business, married, all that kind of stuff. So inevitably, nothing's ever going to be bang on perfect. You've got to make the most of your time. You've got to be time efficient. We'll go into the exercise point of view. So if people don't have time to do it in terms of exercise, can you do an efficient session in a short amount of time? And obviously I know the answer to this, but I'm just pretending like people are asking questions.
You asking me?
Well, yeah, I'll ask you, Greg.
Well,
that's my question.
The short answer is yes to the part regarding can you do an effective workout in a short period of time. But obviously not being in the same position as yourself in terms of lifestyle and everything else, it's easy for me to say, but I think it's also frustrating when people say they don't have time to train, because I just don't think that's true.
Well, it's very rich coming from a man in your position, Greg, who's not quite. No, it's not. It's not that you don't. I think you're right. It's not that we don't. I don't. I mean, I do. I train a lot. I train.
I'm not saying you, but people say, I don't know how I fit in.
I thought you were having a go at me here.
Say again.
I do get that, but I also understand when you've got little ones, you've got a job, you've got a family. It's not that you don't have time. It's because you're knackered. You get to the end of the day.
I get there's reasons to make you not want to and everything else, but it's like I've got many shortfalls, but it's easy to say. It depends how much you want to actually do something, and that's the hard part. Someone like yourself, when they've got so many things and I guess busy life, it's difficult to then find the time. Which then, short workouts are great.
But that is the number one excuse that I get from clients all the time, and I think it's making it manageable. So for your psychology, for your own mindset, if I go to a client, or even to go to myself, it's like, right, Charlie, you've got to go and do an hour-long heavy training session, or go do a 15K run or whatever it is. If I go right, small, I can get in my home gym, I can do 30 minutes solid training. For me, if I'm doing resistance, I might just go, right, I'll just do a load of, one muscle group, or do a little circuit, or do all upper body, all legs, or whatever it may be. And I can handle that within 30 minutes. So again, I think it's for a client or a person to just break it down into smaller chunks. So even saying, right, well, let's start off with, let's try and fit in maybe 10 minutes of whatever it is, maybe 4 or 5 times a week. Start off with that, get that consistency, and then build on that. So I think a lot of the time, because obviously there's loads of information out there, we can give all the best advice for training, nutrition, whatever it may be. But if people aren't there in the right mindset, it just doesn't happen. So it becomes pointless. So that's my thought process. If you've got a busy lifestyle, is to make it manageable.
Yeah, I agree completely. It's a nice comment from Gemma, and you're very welcome. It was our pleasure. Oh, it's been our pleasure.
Oh, mate, yeah. Thanks, Gemma. Yeah, you'll get soreness. So if anyone is in the same position, just take it steady. Start one thing at a time. Training wise, there's 2 main things you need to focus on. Well, 4 main things. Nutrition, we've talked about a little bit. Just make it as simple as possible. Track it through MyFitnessPal, something along those lines, because it will work out your maintenance. and then you can input your diet. It's really simple and easy to use. So you can use that for your nutrition side of things. Second thing is training, like we just talked about then. Just start steady, build it up. Just give yourself an achievable target. The other two things probably won't get too much in today, but sleep. Obviously, sleep's massive, important, and stress as well, which is pretty important. But that's a whole different ballpark of things. But if you get your training and your nutrition right to start off with, then there isn't too much that can go wrong really in terms of you achieving it. It's just being consistent and having that long-term goal. Because realistically, if we're talking about a pound a week, Greg, of if let's say if we're going for fat loss, you have to be consistent for how much is a stone? What's that? Is that 14 pounds? 16
kilos. It's an oyster. 14 pounds, yeah.
What is it, 14 pounds, something like that? That's 14 weeks of consistent work, and that's like I say, if you're going 3,500 calorie deficit a week, you have a big night out on a Friday, and then you mess things up on the Sunday, you can go back to maintenance. So that week could be no loss. So yeah, you just have to find something that works, keep it sustainable, and keep it consistent. That's my thought process.
I think you're right, Dorothy.
On whatever topic I was talking about then, because I've gone off on one again and lost my track.
Got it in one, Dorothy.
Oh, we're still on Dorothy. So yeah, that's me. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, just going on a different route now. I mean, obviously, there's being in lockdown. It's horrible. There's a lot of doom and gloom about it, but it could be a prime time to really focus on your health, your nutrition, your well-being. Because we're not going out to pubs, restaurants. There's not temptation there. So, if you've got more time, if you don't have two little terrors running around, then it's a good opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I mean, most people have got more time, or at least trying to find something to do with time. So just think how great it will be if you can use this time, like Charlie said, to start tracking your nutrition, understanding it more, even if you don't necessarily hit your goals within this period, but you might give yourself the tools of understanding to then incorporate that into life after COVID-19.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sorry, mate, you froze there. I lost what you said, most of it, but
just saying, yeah, exactly. Make the most of the time now, because we've got at least weeks until things will be somewhat back to normal. So just think now. You can start tracking tomorrow. You can start tracking tonight. It's something that the sooner you do it, the better it will be for you in terms of understanding nutrition and hitting your goals for fat loss, which, as you said before, Charlie, it's predominantly what most people are looking to achieve. Also with training, hopefully some people have started exercising, or at least keeping up to some sort of routine through some of our live sessions, which is another great thing, or at least something to continue doing or look to do more, because don't see it as something that you can't do until after. Just get cracking, guys.
Yeah, massively. Oh, I've already made changes, Greg. I've got a whole new mindset now. I used to work too much. So too many sessions, too much work, too many business stuff. So yeah, refocus, reset, mindset. Oh, hello. We've got a new comment, and it's from my mother.
Hello.
That's she says. What was the eyebrows for?
I was saying hello. Hello. I'm not trying to say anything that's not appropriate.
Yeah, no, she says, I agree. Being a 58-year-old, physical exercise is vital. If you do have to go into hospital for any reason, not just COVID, your body is, better to be prepared to cope. Definitely. Without a doubt. I mean, there's no better time than now to be fit, to be healthy. I mean, doesn't matter where you're starting from, making changes today will have a big impact on everything. I mean, we're obviously, me and Greg are very biased, but from people that we worked with, the difference from the starting point to where they end up, not just how they look, but how they feel, how they function, how they sleep, stress levels. It goes hand in hand. I mean, if I did a big long list of benefits for you, people, I can never understand why you wouldn't see that. I think, well, why have I not been, living healthily, training, exercising for ages?
Crazy,
And we're not talking about being silly. It's getting the balance. You can have your beer on a Friday night, have a glass of wine or whatever, but it's just getting that balance. But yeah, like I said, a good time to get fit, to get healthy.
Definitely, it's the important time to, like you said, even from a standpoint of keeping fit. There's some people now watching it who, if you start exercising tomorrow, you're not going to build your immune system overnight. It can take weeks, but look at it like this way. We don't know how long we're in this anyway. But from, like Charlie said, feeling better, more energized, better mood, enhance your mood, that can happen instantly. You can train, do a session, you feel better immediately. So
exactly.
There's longer term investments, if you like, but then there's also the short term gain.
Yeah, definitely. So if you do have any other questions, anyone who's still on, please fire away because we will be wrapping it up fairly soon, I think. But yeah, I mean, like I said, we've covered quite a bit, sort of some in depth, some not. But yeah, it works kind of better if people ask questions. So we had a few.
There's been a few. There's probably been 5, which obviously is not a lot, but it's better than none.
Yeah, it's a good start. I've never done this before, really. Not live. Obviously, we do it all the time.
Exactly.
Consultations, clients, and stuff. But yeah.
Sometimes it's easy if you put on the spot, which people have got a couple of minutes left to put Charlie on the spot if you fancy.
Yeah, do it. I'm ready, mate. I'll just deflect anything that I don't want to answer or don't know.
I thought there may be a need to deflect a few tonight, but it seems to be all.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got my own opinions, thought process on a lot of stuff. So have you, Greg. Sometimes we don't always agree, but yeah. Anyone else? Ask away.
Good sweet old lady though, Dorothy at heart.
Dorothy's going to be losing 2 stone. That's her target, and I think we've answered that.
It is strange how some names to completely digress from this whole objective. There's some names just seem to be for old people, don't they?
We're talking about names though.
Well, like Dorothy.
Well, yeah, but it's like
to have a child now to call her Dorothy because it just seems like it's an old person's name, in my opinion.
Well, some old names are coming back in.
Certain names are.
I think there's someone called Esme who's. I keep hearing that in the garden. I think that's quite an old person's name.
Called Esme, Aiden's, I think.
Oh, there we go. Right, we kind of we've got off the fitness talk, the health talk. Is there anything you want to ask me, Greg? Anything you want to discuss?
How do you stay looking so young?
You're taking a mick. All right. Did you know I'm younger than Greg?
What's your skincare routine? And don't
I am younger than Greg, and obviously takes a lot more. I had a tough milk round as a kid. I used to get up at 6 a.m. before school, 2 hours.
Push the milkman around.
He used to drive us around. We jump out of our little milk cartons. And then before I had kids, I had like my hairline was like down there.
That's an incentive not to have them, isn't it?
Oh, I love having my kids. My kids are awesome. Just hard work and you don't sleep much, and they stress you out every now and again. But apart from that, right, cool.
Been on for 49 minutes.
I know, yeah. I think we'll wrap up. Greg, Rachel, have you got anything you want to ask? No. What he said, she's just being silly. Right. Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that covers most things really. Unless anyone does want to know about anything more in detail, I was all ready. I was all share my knowledge.
I think there was some good key points covered for a general scope of things. So
Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, we will be back on Saturday morning now with our training session. So, yeah, we might do another one of these when I need a rest again. But yeah, we'll see. Depends how long this goes on for. But yeah, Saturday 9 a.m. We'll do some training. Are you doing it, Greg? Or are you just watching?
I'm going to leave that one open to the public.
Right.
Guys, on your phones,
Okay.
lines will be open. Telephone lines will be open from midnight tonight.
Yeah.
Till midnight tomorrow night. So text in to 334-615. Should Greg train on Saturday morning? You decide.
Knowing you, mate, you probably will give out your number at some point.
Of the viewers.
Right. The whole 10 viewers we got.
Well, it's 10 more votes and
Right. Enough of this. Enough of this silliness. Right. I'll catch you on Saturday, mate. Take it
easy. You
easy.
have a great evening, Charlie. Thanks again.
I will.
Cheers.
See you later.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Bye.